Mike Briggs is our marketing analyst this week, a week of uncertainty in global markets. We talked with Mike on Tuesday afternoon, the day of the biggest one-day sell-off the stock market had seen all year, and a rough day for the cattle markets.
There's a lot of things going through my mind, and usually on these big swings like this, you don't know why they happen until quite a ways after. I think the market got pretty badly overheated. I think funds got way long in the market, and anytime the funds decide to get out, it's like rats trying to get out of a hole. It's just it just waterfalls on top of itself. That kind of bothers me. There's a lot of people running around screaming that we've had our spring high and it isn't even spring yet. The whole thing was strange because you started this rally in February, which is typically your worst demand month of the year. So that was perplexing in and of itself, but the market's always ahead of itself. So it's hard to know. Honestly, I think we just had a situation where I think the market got overheated. Funds were too long. They decided to get out. It's actually good for the market to kind of clean it out, and maybe we can start again. I wouldn't think we've already set our spring high. That would be really disappointing to a lot of people, especially when I know there's a lot of people out there buying 134 and 137 break evens, and the market's only at 128. Today it's at 126, but I hope that's not the case, that we've already topped it.
You know, every month we come out here, it seems like we talk about the same thing when it comes to packers. And I was reading this morning the difference between pork packers, and beef packers they just keep taking it. And when does it end?
At some point, they're going to get their margin back. Typically, their best margins of the year are April, May, June. I don't know if that's going to be the case from the standpoint of I don't know that there's the big slug of calves and the overwhelming amount of cattle to slaughter that there typically is that time of year, but there'll probably be more. And we all knew that from about the middle of February through most of March, it was going to get pretty tight on cattle. And we talked about it off camera. Your shipments of export beef that were bought months ago are now happening, so they've got to come up with the meat. So they're having to pay some of these prices and really getting themselves in trouble. It will correct though, and they'll get their margins back. Hopefully they don't take it all out of the feed yard's pocket.
And when we get to the consumer on the other side, gas is going up, all right? But $5 seems like it might be a little more on the extreme. Either way, how do you feel about that?
Well, the more gas costs, the more less disposable income those consumers have. And beef's high, beef's gonna stay high, beef's probably gonna get higher. And it's going to be an expensive commodity, and that's going to hurt people. Now, the interesting thing about this will get a little long-winded, but when we were having this big rally, the beef market kind of stagnated. Didn't move very much, but it did come up and close the gap a little bit, so the packer wasn't getting hammered too much. Typically, your middle meats, your ribs, and all your steak cuts are the ones that carry the cutout. Through that entire rally, they didn't move. Why? Not grilling season. Those are grilling meats. You saw the cheaper cuts hold the carrot up. Well, that's what people are doing. They're buying on price per pound. What's going to be interesting to me is we get into grilling time, the grills come out of the garage. Are people with this expensive gas going to go pay for those expensive steak cuts? And then will that the cutout go back to what it typically is, where those middle meats are carrying this thing? And maybe that's what gives the packer his margin. Maybe he doesn't have to take it out of my hide. That's my optimistic view there. I don't know.
Speaking of your pocket, how do you feel about corn right now? It's had a nice little rally for the corn farmer over the last month or so, over the last week, really. Where are you
have until the last couple of days, or really till today.
Yeah.
And I think you've got the same situation. I think the funds got really long, and you've got a tale of two markets there in this corn market. You've got tight old crop stocks, and you've got at least projections on paper to have burdensome supplies by fall, and the market knows that. So we roll into spring, and we don't have any trouble getting the planters rolling, and we get this crop in the ground, and we don't have any kind of weather problem. It's just going to be like air coming out of a balloon on this corn market. So I think, and a lot of feeders are doing this, they're buying out ahead, anticipating this lower corn price. I'm not gutsy enough to do that. But I also am just buying corn hand to mouth. I'm not reaching out there very far to get corn because I don't think corn has much life left to it. Having said that, our friends in China come rolling in here and buying a bunch of grain, and it's going to get really tight really fast, and then we better not have a weather problem or this corn will run out of sight.